Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about growth, the kind that truly changes everything. If you've been feeling stuck in a specific area in your life, overwhelmed, or just like you're watching your life pass by while everyone else seems to be moving forward, this video is for you. First things first, growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it doesn't look like hustle, clarity, or even success. At some point, I was really successful in whatever I was doing, but I have reached a glass ceiling where I was not really growing beyond what I have already achieved. I was confusing movement with progress. For example, stacked schedules, busy days. I was constantly escaping stillness because in my mind, stillness is equal to no progress. So if you're constantly distracted, constantly escaping stillness, you're probably not growing because real growth comes when you slow down enough to know who you are, what you want, what is really aligned with your life purpose, and what you came to this earth to do. And real growth started to manifest in my life when I had the chance to slow down enough to know who I am, what I want to even grow in. And it doesn't mean you're not being successful. You can be successful in whatever you're doing, but you might not be growing beyond what you have already achieved from success. And that happened with me. I had two jobs, I was great at them, but at some point I was like, okay, what next? Like, what am I going to do next? Am I going to be the owner of this company? Am I going to achieve something more in whatever I'm doing? No. The answer was no for me. Even when it comes to friendships and relationships, at some point I had great relationships, but they were not growing beyond what we have achieved. So I had to let go of certain things. And I couldn't reach this mentality before I slowed down. I understood what's happening, who I am, what I want, and where I want to be in my life. And also, I had to tune in to understand my soul purpose and what my soul is craving in this life. So, real growth happens when you slow down, sit with yourself, and understand yourself. So, if you're constantly distracted, constantly escaping stillness, you're probably not growing. And when I started to manifest the growth, the universe put me in situations where I had to be alone. I had to tune in, understand myself, understand who I truly am before what I was conditioned to believe about myself since I was born. Even if you are surrounded by great people and loving and caring people, they are going to project their love, their admiration into your life and into your identity and into what you are going to believe about yourself. So I truly had to be isolated to really tune in. Take it this way. You have headache, you go to the doctor. The doctor cannot just look at you and say, "Oh, you look fine, go home." The doctor is going to ask you to run a blood test, maybe a scan for your head. So he has to see what is really going on inside your system. And once you tune in and understand who you truly are, what are your fears, what are your weaknesses, your strength, everything about yourself, you will be able to understand what you truly want and how and where you can grow, what you can tap into. So isolation was very crucial for me when I started to manifest the growth. I'm not going to say like stay isolated your whole life, like just for a short period of time or for the period that you truly need to tune in and understand yourself. And when I sat with myself, I started to ask myself questions like, where am I running from? What emotions am I avoiding by being busy, for example, all the time, or by trying to achieve so many things, or by working two jobs at the same time? What emotions am I running from? And also, who am I trying to pretend to be for validation? Because I was seeking validation from people who were not even seeking success and growth. So the moment I stopped outsourcing my worth to the world and started being curious about my deep wounds, that's the moment real growth began in my life. And the growth cost me a lot. It cost me some friends because I stopped shrinking to fit in rooms I have outgrown. It costed me temporary happiness. I've dropped a lot of plans to actually focus on my goals. It cost me comfort because I chose a change over comfort. It cost me also my old identity. I am no longer the same. And that is totally fine, because you cannot stay the same person with the same personality, character, friends, and everything, and take these things with you in your next chapter. Take it this way. You had a lot of toys in your childhood and now you are an adult. You cannot just keep all your toys, or for example, your old clothes. You cannot just keep everything that you had since the day you were born, because at the end you have to make space for what's new, for what is now serving your soul and serving your soul purpose, and what you truly desire and what you truly want to have in your life. It's not because they didn't serve you at some point. It's not because they weren't amazing at some point, but I had to let go of things and people and places so I can make space and open the room for new things to actually enter and have space in my life. And this is how I activated the growth. I started to accept discomfort, because change is not comfortable. But if you're not changing, you are choosing. And I didn't want to choose the same life that I had, because as I told you, I reached a glass ceiling. I felt I'm not growing beyond what I have achieved. So I had to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I was honest with myself, and I had to reflect honestly through journaling, through meditation, through solitude. And after I understood myself well, especially after reflecting honestly on myself, I started to take aligned actions. And I didn't wait until I was ready. I started to celebrate a small progress in my life. If you want to wait until things are perfect, you're gonna keep waiting forever. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. Just celebrate a small progress, not perfection. Growth is about direction, not the speed. And after I applied all these things, I was faced with a little disappointment, because I understood after a while that growth wasn't linear. I thought that yes, now I tuned in, I understood myself, I took aligned actions, now nothing can stop me, I will achieve whatever I want, I will grow. But yeah, growth wasn't linear. It happens in cycles. Take it this way. You take a seed, you put it in the ground. First, it's dark, it's buried. It looks like nothing is happening. If you look at it from the outside, it might even look like the end, because nothing is there. You cannot even see anything happening. But the truth is, that seed that I planted was quietly breaking open, forming roots, and I was not able to see that. Preparing for the moment it pushes through the soil. But the problem is, most people quit in their winter season before their spring comes. So don't quit. When you don't see results, that's part of the process. That's how growth works. Growth isn't linear. Growth isn't always visible also. Sometimes you think that you're not growing. You think that nothing is happening in your life. You cannot see the seed that you've planted, but actually a lot of things are happening beneath the surface. So don't give up when you are in your winter season. Keep moving forward. Your darkest, most confusing season doesn't mean you're finished. It means you are becoming. And don't mistake being planted for being buried. And you know how I started to know that growth is being manifested in my life? A lot of people around me started to no longer recognize me. They will say things like, "You've changed." And they are right. I didn't only change, I left an old identity by itself. And the growth is gonna make a lot of people around you uncomfortable, because you are reminding them of their own stagnation. If you are growing and they're not choosing to grow with you, or they're not choosing to grow in the same areas that you are choosing to grow in, that's gonna make them uncomfortable, because you are going to remind them of their own stagnation. But that's also okay, because not everyone is meant to be where you're headed. Growth didn't only change my life, it changed me. If you've made it this far, it means you're willing to grow intentionally. So don't just watch this video, try to live it. And I will see you next time. Bye.